This is Chester. He's the little dog I rescued from Mexico. He was a homeless dog. He lived on the beach behind the hotel I was staying in. And the local kids, they were kicking him, throwing rocks at him, and the waiter in the hotel told me that all the local kids did that on a regular basis, and that he was able to seem to be able to distinguish the difference between Spanish and English, and when he would see locals, he would dart the other way, and when tourists came up, that he would come up to them because sometimes they would give him nachos or whatever. And anyway, I fell in love with him the minute I saw him, and we became pretty good buddies. He came up and would get under my beach chair, and sometimes he would like to get up on the beach chair with me and snuggle. And one day, a man in the hotel told me that the night before he saw some local kids hurt him quite badly with kicking him. And I decided I'm going to do something nice for this dog before I leave. So I took him to the vet and got him a flea shampoo, and then I got him one of those vaccines that kills the fleas when they bite him. A couple days later, I met a family from Chicago, and they had 5 kids. The youngest one was like 18 months old, and the oldest one was like 18 years old. And the kids just fell in love with him. He got along. Even the little kids that didn't know how to pick up a dog right could pick him up, and he didn't complain. And so I got to talking with the father, and I said, I'll tell you what. I said, if you're willing to take this dog back to the United States, back to Chicago with you, I will, at my expense, take him to the vet, get a full set of shots, get him wormed, get all the travel documents, everything that's legal to get him to the United States. And he said, let me talk to my wife and the kids. And the kids begged him, and he said, came back about an hour later and says, okay, we're going to do it. The family went out looking for carrier bags to take him on the plane. And that evening, they told me they went every place they could find, and all they could find were Chihuahua-sized bags. I told them, you know what, this can't fail. The last thing I want to happen is you get to the airport with this dog, you can't get on the plane, and that the airlines throws him out on the highway behind the airport or something. Well, I went to the gate with them, I went to the ticket counter with them. We tried everything. We asked to talk to the supervisors, asked them to talk to the supervisor's manager. They told us that a half a block down the street was a place you could buy dog carriers. We went down there, and all they had were the big hard ones. Unfortunately, this airline didn't have a pressurized place for dogs in cargo, so it was either carry on in the cabin or not at all. And we tried everything, and it just wasn't happening. And so at that point, it looked like it was going to be back to the beach for the dog. The kids were in tears, and I was practically in tears too, and I just felt so bad. There was a couple in front of me, and I started telling them my sad story. And it turns out that the couple were animal lovers, and the lady said, isn't there some way that you can get him on the flight with you and take him to San Francisco? And I said, well, I don't have a travel bag either. I don't think I'm going to have any more luck than they had. But and also I had promised my partner that you know, in the event that they couldn't get the dog on the plane, that I was taking him back to the beach. I knew he wouldn't be pleased about having a third dog. The airline management, they got out the yellow pages. They went through there, called every veterinarian, called Walmart, Sam's Club, every place that sold pet products, and we got the same story everywhere, that every place had Chihuahua-sized bags, but nothing any larger, nothing that would accommodate them. So the lady and I went to a gift shop, and we found a beach bag that was kind of the right size, and then we went back to them and talked to them once again. And they said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we will sell you the airfare for the dog. I can't guarantee he's going to get on the plane. It'll be up to the flight attendant. You know, I kept thinking over and over, and my partner was telling me the same thing. This is really a big risk, because what's going to happen if we get up there and the flight attendant says no? Then you're going to be in the same situation that you're trying to avoid. The dog's going to end up on the highway out behind here, and who knows what's going to happen to him. And my stomach was just tied up in knots, and I still had time to take the taxi, but I said, I can't do this. I got to make this work somehow. And I said, the only way that I can guarantee, if the dog's head is sticking out, there's a good, strong likelihood they're gonna say no. So I said, my best shot is to smuggle him onto the plane so that they don't know there's a dog. So when it came time to board, when it was going to the gate, I pushed his head into the bag, zipped it up completely closed, which made it, there wasn't any ventilation for breathing, but I said, I just have to do this long enough to get him past the flight attendants. Well, somehow I managed to keep him steady, and I got past the flight attendant and tried to walk as swiftly as possible. I sat down in my seat, and I put the dog under the seat, and I unzipped the bag a little bit so he could breathe. Unfortunately, it was really hot, and the dog was squirming to get out of the bag. So I'm sitting here with my elbow on my knee, trying to cover things up, and with my other hand between my legs, keep pushing his shoulders down to keep him from escaping. And every time I did that, he would let out a big yelp. And the reason he did that was the day before he had gotten all these vaccinations right in the spot between his shoulder blades, which was the spot I had to push him on. Somehow we managed to do this, and none of the flight attendants happened to come by at the right time or when they was squealing. And as soon as the plane took off and the air conditioners came on, then he was fine. He kind of lied down, and I kept a magazine over my legs. And according to our itinerary, this was supposed to be a direct flight. Well, about an hour into the flight, he hands us the customs forms and tells us that everybody's getting off the plane in Phoenix. Everybody has to get their luggage, go through customs, and check back in at a different gate. And I thought, oh no, I have to start all this all over again. And I thought we were over. I thought it was all finished. Now I'm going to have another set of people that I have to sneak him by. Well, since I thought this was going to be a direct flight, I had taken the stub for my boarding pass, and I had left it in the seat pocket in the seat in front of me. So when I got off the plane, I wasn't even thinking about that. I had nothing to prove that I was even on a flight to anywhere. I still had the bag zipped up. We got off. The drug sniffing dog was quite interested in my bag. I had to tell the customs agent that there was a dog in there, not drugs. But I wasn't really worried about customs because I had all the paperwork. I wasn't really about customs. I wasn't worried about security because the type of bag is the airline issue and it's not their issue. We got through customs. I went to go back to the gate. They wouldn't let me through there because I didn't have a boarding pass. They told me we would have to go back to the ticket counter, wait in line, get a new boarding pass issued. All the time I can hear announcements over the PA system. If you're on flight 509, you should be on the plane now. The plane is about ready to take off. Okay, we got to security, and there was a long line, and we had to take our shoes off, our belt off, the dog leash off, take the dog out of the bag, take his collar off because of the metal. And so we get through X-ray. I put my belt on without buckling it. I put my shoes on without tying them. Put the dog, trying to shove him in the bag very quickly, seal the bag up, and running as fast as I can. I told Eddie, give me my passport because I don't have something to show him at the gate. He handed me a passport. I go running, and he said, I'll catch up with you later, go. I run up to the gate. I pulled out the passport, and it said Eddie Yongjin Huang. And they said, well, you don't look like a Huang. And I said, oh no, that's Eddie's passport. I'm trying to keep this dog from wiggling around and squirming around. It's 109 degrees in Phoenix. So again, the air conditioners don't work until they rev up the jet engine. So it's a repeat of the last time. I get back to my seat and unzip the bag a little bit. He's squirming, trying to get out of the bag. And so I'm doing the same thing with my elbow on my knee and pushing his shoulders down. And every time I did that, he would let out a big yelp again. And I thought I got away with this with the first flight crew. But unfortunately, this was an entirely different flight crew. And I thought, I don't know whether these ones are going to be any more lenient than the other ones. But somehow I managed to do it. And this whole time, every time they would come by and ask me if I wanted a drink or something to eat, I didn't want to move anything. So I would say, oh, no, I'm on a diet. I had to go to the bathroom. I didn't dare get up and go to the bathroom. You know, when we got off the plane, there was no time to go to the restroom then because it was such a hurry. It was run. So the entire trip, I had to hold it, and I didn't eat any peanuts, nothing to drink the entire time until when we got close to San Francisco. And when they came around, I thought, well, at this point, it doesn't matter because even if they discover that I have a dog at this point, they're not going to turn the flight around. They're not going to make an emergency landing because there's a puppy under the chair. And so at that point, I didn't care. And I told Eddie, said, when the flight attendant comes around, I'm getting a wine. And says, after all I've been through today, I need it now. And so finally the plane landed, and I stuffed him back into the bag, but I decided just to let his head hang out. We walked by the flight attendants and the pilot, and everybody were standing up front, and they just kind of looked at me funny, but they didn't really say anything. As soon as I stepped off the plane, another one of the passengers standing there in the jetway says, "I can't believe you got away with this." And I'm thinking, I can't either. As soon as we got out the jetway, I was in tears. I just cried, and I picked up Chester, and I says, "Chester, we made it." Oh, and the reason I named him Chester, let me show you here. One of his front paws is a little crooked, and I'm thinking what happened is maybe when he was smaller that he broke his leg, and since he was a homeless dog, nobody said it, and so sometimes he walks with a limp on that foot, and so I named him Chester after Chester on the old Western series Gunsmoke, that Chester that walked with a limp. And I would really give anything if I could keep Chester myself, but I have these two Jack Russells, Einstein and Emma Sue, that are very jealous, and they're not happy at all about him being there, so I'm trying to find a home for him, and whoever takes him really has a jewel. He gets along with small kids, big kids, little dogs, big dogs. He gets along with cats, and if I didn't have dogs, I would take him in a minute. To me, he's the ideal pet. He's going to make somebody a wonderful and faithful companion. He follows me all around the house. He never leaves your side. Even when I get in the shower, he's sitting outside on the bath mat waiting for you to step out of the shower. He sticks to you like glue. So I hope we can find him a good home, because whoever gets him really has a jewel.